Jerry's identity is the Cowboys. It just is, Skip. It just is. I'm sorry. You know him better than anybody. You sat down with him, you talked to him, you've interviewed him. You know that the Dallas Cowboys are Jerry Jones.
And now, as a lifelong diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, my biggest regret is that fans aren't allowed to vote an owner out of office. If you could vote him out of office, he would have been voted out a long time ago, right? But you can't. So to your point, this is till death do you part, and generationally, it's just going to go generation to generation. So the Dallas Cowboys, maybe to the end of the earth, will be owned by the Jones family in one shape, way, or form, right?
Hopefully you don't get a situation where we've seen like some of the bickering that happens with Mr. Bowlen, the kids, and now they're about to sell the franchise because they can't agree that who's going to be in charge. So I don't think that's going to be a situation with the Jones household.
I don't think so.
I think he has everything in place. Okay, this is what I want.
It's like a lineage.
Yeah,
it's like royal lineage.
Stephen, you do this. Charlotte, you do this. Junior, you do that. I think he's got the estate is everything is. This is how it's going to work.
That is correct. So you say, what would have happened if he hadn't bought the Cowboys? And I told you the story. He was at an oil and gas convention in Cabo San Lucas, had a long night drinking at the Giggling Marlin was the name of the bar, where you had to drink upside down. They would string you up like a marlin. And if you could have as much as you wanted to drink upside down, so he actually participated in that. And he was so hungover the next day, he couldn't go out deep sea fishing with Steven, so he just stayed back in the hotel reading the San Diego Union newspaper, looked at the blurb, Cowboys are for sale. Salomon Brothers is the broker, and he called long distance from the lobby of his hotel in Cabo up to New York, and he said, hi, you don't know me, I'm Jerry Jones, and I'm going to buy the Dallas Cowboys, because he's the biggest super salesman ever. And I still don't know how he strung together a deal with baling wire, basically, and found a current owner of the Cowboys named Bum Bright, who hated all things Tom Landry and wanted to choose the one bidder who didn't want to keep Tom Landry because Jerry made it clear, I'm bringing my guy Jimmy Johnson in to be the head coach. And I forgot to look up the exact price that he bought it at. It was like $500 million. It was somewhere in the 600.
Who, Jerry?
Yeah.
No, 140.
Was it 140?
Oh, 140 million.
You know what? I was thinking of this morning. I forgot to look it up. 140 million.
140 million.
Okay. Think it. I told you 2 weeks ago, you could argue it's the greatest buy in the history of the country because you paid that. You stole the Dallas Cowboys. You bought low, and now you could sell high because I do believe he could get $10 billion.
Yeah, one of the two. It's them and the Yankees are the two most prominent North American franchises. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mr. Steinbrenner bought the Yankees from the CBS for $7 million in 72, 73.
Okay, so what were the odds of Jerry Jones at 49 staying in the oil and gas business because he had already lost his shirt once. He completely lost it where he told me he flew into Love Field in Dallas and handed the woman at the car rental counter his credit card and she cut it in two with scissors. It's defunct, right? Okay, so the point is, it's possible if you stay in that game long enough, you keep going into your 50s, you could hit a bunch of dry. Hey, you want to talk about high risk?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's the highest risk.
It is.
So you have a bunch of dry holes, you go bust. Instead, he made the greatest buy ever because not only was it a great financial buy, but you want to talk about celebrity buy? It put you and your family on the international map.
Yes.
Because they know Jerry in London, they know him in Tokyo, they know all about Jerry Jones. You could argue of that, you talked about that 900, what did you say?
People that got more money than Jerry?
Yeah.
There are a bunch of them.
Okay, there are a whole bunch that have more money, but you could argue on that list, you could go up to Bill Gates. Well, Jerry rivals Bill Gates, I would think, in overall.
Oh, yeah, people know,
Right?
Yeah, there probably more people probably recognize Jerry Jones walking the street than Bill Gates.
I think, okay. Well, who could say that?
And Bill Gates doesn't have a TV show every week. He doesn't have a radio show every week. None of the other billionaires do other than Jerry Jones.
So some nights I literally lie awake thinking about what if my team had a real general manager running it and we had a seen but never heard owner like Clint Murkison was, who was the original Cowboy owner, who was a little mouse of a man who I got to know, decent guy to be around, but he wanted no part of any celebrity and stayed completely in the shadows.
That's how most.
Cronky.
That's how most of the owners are.
Okay.
You don't see Mr. Kraft. Mr. Kraft ain't doing.
Although I see him around, he's front row at the.
Oh yeah, he's play. Now he go. I mean, yeah, he'll go to events, Skip. But you know, Skip, he ain't after the game. He's not the first one being interviewed. Mm-hmm. He's not talking during the week. Well, I think this guy's going to be out.
Yeah.
But we feel very comfortable with this guy playing. He's not giving you update on the team status.
No. So I feel like Jerry Jones is using and abusing our Dallas Cowboys that belong to the fans for his personal glory gains because he's become internationally famous because he does 2 radio shows a week, 2. And he does post-game interviews every single game, wherever it is in the hallway, but everybody waits to hear what does Jerry have to say. It's a la George Steinbrenner back in the day with the Yankees. But even Steinbrenner, he only spoke when he needed to detonate the team, when he needed to motivate, inspire, right? So he might fire the manager or speak out to the New York Post against the manager or whatever, against the team.
Or Reggie.
Right, or Reggie. That's exactly right. Because that's how he could push their buttons.
Right.
Well, Jerry doesn't try to push any buttons. He pushes his own buttons.
Yeah, he want to be buddy with all the players.
Yeah.
And George, like, I'm paying you a king's ransom. I just want you to win. You ain't got to be my friend.
No.
Just win games. Jerry wants you to win and be his friend.
Right. So it actually stung me to read this story that he's saying the Cowboys are worth $10 billion. I don't disagree.
Right.
And yet, I think, why? Why are they worth it? Because you always remind me, well, when's the last time you even got to an NFC championship game? How about 1995?
But guess what's happened? There's a team that's right down the street that's in the Western Conference Final. They got a bona fide superstar. Now, the Mavericks has won a championship, has been to the championship, and has a chance to go again. This will be their 3rd time going since '06. Cowboys ain't even come close since '95. They haven't even been to the championship game, let alone the Super Bowl. So, you know, he might be, like you said, he might live, let me remind you, I got a team worth $10 billion. I can sell this team for $10 billion.
Okay.
I ain't gonna do it, but I could.
What do I tell you about the state of Texas and certainly the city of Dallas? It's called King football.
Oh, yeah, it's football. Yeah. In the South,
you can bounce that round ball all you want. You can Luka this and Luka that. It won't measure up.
No.
Okay.
In the South, football is king.
Okay. So somehow it's worth $10 billion, the most valuable team in the whole world. And what do I have to show for it as a fan? Nothing.
Jerry could have $20 billion. Jerry would rather have the Cowboys be worth $3 billion than have $20 billion because the $20 billion ain't gonna give him the adulation, the glory, the fame that owning the Cowboys do. And that's what he values the most. Skip, once you get to a certain status, it's monopoly money.
But in the end, if you just want to be the figurehead owner and just do radio shows, but he is the general manager, hands-on.
Yeah.
First press conference he ever did in 1989. I'm going to know everything down to the socks and the jocks. And he does to this day. He knows the socks and the jocks.
Yeah.
And that's why my team, post Jimmy Johnson, has gone pretty much nowhere.
Well, not very many owners, Skip, of any business, all of a sudden, once they become, they're like, okay, I'm going to have somebody else to do that. Jerry says, yeah, I'm the owner, but I want to pick the players. You know, these CEOs, Tim Cook ain't back there in the little lab. Let me see the next great invention I could create for Apple. He got other people doing that. Jerry's like, hey, I own the team. I want to pick the players.
Yeah.
So
because it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So.
Way to go, Jerry. I'm stuck with you.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Skip, there's not much that gets your feathers ruffled like that topic, but I have a feeling this next one might. LeBron leaving Michael Jordan off of an all-time list. We're going to give you the details coming up next.